YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we got another reaction. This is by Shonen Ouji. Why you need two main characters. So yeah guys, let's just check out this video. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think down below in the comments. And of course, let's just jump into the video. Let's go.
Who is the main character of Dandadan? Most people will rightfully tell you that Momo and Okarun are both the main characters. But what most people can't tell you is why Tatsu decided to give Dandadan two lead characters. In other words, how is Dandadan any different from a show with one lead character like Chainsaw Man, or shows with several perspectives like Arcane? What makes having dual protagonists special is that it builds the story on the growing relationship between these two characters, while not inherently better than traditional stories.
So what I heard was apparently Momo was supposed to be the main character of Dandadan, but I think the studio couldn't approve the author of the manga that Momo was gonna be the main character, so he had to add Ken to kind of have like a whole dynamic, because it's rare to find good anime with a female lead. You know, that's like top tier AAA anime, because this seems like a huge budget anime with a female lead, you know. So that's why it's kind of like a cool duality of Momo and Ken, you know, Okarun, you know.
This trope makes Dandadan incredibly unique because it's a story of partnership, teamwork, and synergy. So in this video, I'd like to examine the rising trend in shows with dual protagonists like Soul Eater, discuss how Tatsu...
Oh yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Soul Eater. Soul Eater does have two main characters, because the guy is like the weapon and the woman. Okay, I haven't watched Soul Eater, so don't judge me if I'm giving misinformation. But yeah, it's kind of like that, you know, in a way.
Tatsu borrows from both romance manga and battle shonen, and explain how Dandadan shows us that two main characters is usually better than one.
True.
Now, before I say anything else, let's just make sure we're clear. I might say dual main characters or two main characters interchangeably, but when I am talking about the trope we see in Dandadan, I am specifically talking about dual main characters.
Yeah.
Specifically any story where two main characters both lead the story together and each share the narrative focus.
That's
so
true.
This would not include something like, say, Gurren Lagann, because while it does have two lead characters...
I've never heard of Gurren Lagann. That's a new show I need to check out.
It's obvious that only one of them is really the main character. What makes Dandadan different from something like Gurren Lagann is that both main characters equally share the role of leading the story. You can see this in the very first chapter because although it starts with Momo, it ends with both characters working together. The takeaway is that the story is about both of these characters, and neither of them could achieve this kind of growth without the other. We see this when they team up against the Flatwoods monster, and again when they fight Turbo. We also see this in the romance scenes, when we don't really focus on one character or the other. Like
focus on
when
both.
Momo and Okarun are nervous about talking to each other, we jump back and forth between both characters. Now, obviously the story...
Yeah, honestly, they executed that perfectly. It's great story writing all in all for me when it comes to a show like Dandadan. The way how they have the duality of each character's perspectives, it's very rare for a show to capture two people's perspectives on how they feel about each other. Even though sometimes they will have a moment where they focus on Ken or they focus on Momo, it's kind of like a duality, you know. I like it a lot.
About these two. We do take time to flesh out other characters like Iroh or Gigi, but the overall narrative is led by these two characters, and they lead the story through their growing chemistry, hence why I refer to this trope as dual main characters. The story is defined by the growing relationship between Momo and Okarun, and how each of these characters influences the other. So Dandadan wouldn't be what it is today without both of these characters leading the story. But at this point, you're probably thinking...
That's very true. I feel like, you know, them having like the whole romance perspective, and, you know, they're like two opposites, but they kind of like, you know, the opposites attracts cliche, you know. That's why I think both of them are very captivating as characters, no cap.
To yourself, I get it. Two main characters is cool. But is it really any better than having just one main character? Like, is there really any difference? To answer your question,
There is a difference, but I feel like, if you can have two main characters and you execute it perfectly, man, is it a good story. Because we are more, as anime fans, like for a story like Dandadan, it's so simple, aliens and ghost. The only reason why we love the story is because of the characters, what the characters go through in order to solve the mysteries of aliens and ghosts. That's what we love about Dandadan.
To answer your question, yes, there is. As a matter of fact, this trope is so special that you rarely see it done in other series.
True.
Well, maybe not in battle shonen like Dragon Ball or Jujutsu Kaisen, but it is fairly common in romance stories.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into Tatsu's background in romance manga. But before I say more on that, make sure to like the video if you're enjoying it so far. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it helps spread the video to other viewers like you. So by now, you've probably heard that Tatsu read dozens and dozens of romance manga before he started Dandadan. It's also important to know that he had pitched dozens and dozens of action series to his editor before.
Yeah, that's true, man. He had to. This guy apparently was underneath somebody. I forgot he was underneath an important person in the anime series. So he had to kind of like grind his way. And you can imagine how many mangas he actually pitched. Even Dandadan almost got rejected if he didn't add Ken Takakura. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, being a manga artist is such a difficult thing, especially in Japan, the whole traditional ways. I feel like we get new manga artists, for example, like Corey Kenshin with his new manga, not made through the traditional route, whereas in Japan you kind of have to go underneath. You have to be mentored in order for you to get a position. But I feel like, it's kind of cool seeing the industry kind of change. It's not fully changed, but it's getting there, to a point where everybody can kind of like enter in their own way.
Before he was finally told to just draw whatever he wants. So when you look at Dandadan, it's important to keep in mind that it is the product of a strong desire to draw a big, exciting action series, but also a new passion for romance stories and their familiar tropes, which gives us some insight into the unique role of this dual main character role, because for the most part, it's usually a somewhat romantic dynamic.
That's true.
There are exceptions, like you could easily argue that JoJo Part 7 uses this trope with its two lead characters. But again, that's more of the exception. For the most part, romance usually plays a pretty big role in these types of stories because of the unique dynamic between the two main characters. As a matter of fact, Soul Eater is a great example of this. I never thought of it until now, but Soul Eater and Dandadan have more in common than you think. Soul and Maka's whole dynamic is built around being partners. In fact, the theme of partnership is one of the biggest themes in Soul Eater because a lot of the story revolves around the madness,
both of them.
and this idea that being alone leaves you vulnerable to self-doubt and anxiety, but having someone to share your problems with makes them more manageable.
That's very true, man. Both of them kind of share like their own similarities, Dandadan and Soul Eater. Damn, I need to watch Soul Eater. I never really watched it. I always touch the first episode, like not deep with the first episode. I just touch it, like I watch maybe like 5 minutes and then I drop it because I don't know why. I need to give it a chance. I think there's a lot of episodes. That's what intimidates me. But like, yeah, I'll try it.
Recurring theme with just about every duo in the story. In fact, it's not uncommon for there to be romantic tension between some of these duos. Mary and Stein, obviously. Blackstar and Tsubaki have some romantic tension. And of course, Soul and Maka. It can be argued both ways, but at the very least, their relationship is defined by their mutual desire to grow on their own and protect each other. One of the best parts is how Maka wants to be strong so Soul doesn't have to rely on the madness. And Soul has this identity issue of thinking he needs to be, like the cool guy. It all comes down to scenes like when Soul is playing the piano and Maka respects him for his artistic talent rather than his cool guy attitude or his abilities. It's a great dynamic because we get to see how these characters help each other find their most authentic selves. The only problem with a series like Soul Eater is that Soul and Maka don't really carry the narrative focus.
True.
Like, they're clearly the main characters, characters. But Soul Eater is as much about Black Star and Tsubaki and Kid and the twins as much as it is about Soul and Maka. So while teamwork is a central theme, those two aren't the best example of a lead-in couple. Soul Eater is more akin to something like Arcane, where they are the main characters, so to speak, but the story has a handful of different perspectives, especially in Season 2. These kinds of shows are fun, but they're really no—
Okay, Arcane, I never also watched it. Like this one, I only recently heard about it. Cause nobody, like, I don't have no anime friends, so like, dude, Arcane, I've only heard about it recently where people are like, yo, this is the best. I never heard much about Season 1, but I heard a lot about Season 2, so yeah. You know, another one I need to start watching.
than a show with just one main character. The only difference is you have multiple perspectives rather than just one. A better example would be—
Yo, and I was thinking of this show, like literally, what happened to this show? Nobody ever talks about this, dude. This show, like nobody ever talks about this. I think I'm on episode 19 because I think they took a break. So I kind of stopped watching it.
Undead Unluck. Undead Unluck.
Undead Unluck. Honestly, a sleeper. This one is a sleeper anime. Like this one is so good. It's so good. I remember watching this. This was at, I think, was it spring? I think spring anime. Yeah, this one was just too good. Came out this year. And man, I swear, like a lot of people, if you like good, goofy, if you kind of want a show kind of like Dandadan, this is one of the shows. This one is too good. Too freaking good.
Is led by Andy and Fuko. While their beginning is awkward, to say the least, they quickly
No, the beginning, the hook, this show has honestly one of the best hooks I've seen in a while. It has such a good hook of what happens between Fuko and Andy, you know, and the story and the dynamics of what happened to Andy and why Fuko is like this, you know, undead and bad luck. Oh, that's so crazy.
A romantic couple where they each push each other to grow. Andy pushes Fuko to believe in herself and be more confident. And she shows Andy that he doesn't have to fight alone. Andy does a lot of the fighting, but Fuko is really the one that inspires all of the other characters.
True.
In this sense, they share the role of leading the story, even if they do it in different ways.
Yeah.
In fact, Fuko even takes over the fighting part later in the story. But
her fighting is not that involved because, you know, Fuko is not as extreme as Andy because Andy is the GOAT. Whereas Fuko, I don't want to spoil, but yeah, you guys should definitely watch. This is a really good series. If you have an itch for Dandadan, this one, especially this show, I understand Soul Eater, but this one, oh my gosh.
Spoil that part for you. The reason I would say Undead Unluck is a better example of this is because of how it blends romance and action.
True.
Soul Eater is all about partnership, and there is a romantic undertone, but nobody would really call it a romance. Meanwhile, romance is a big part of Undead Unluck, and everyone is calling Dandadan a romance.
True.
So, when you compare this to something like, say, Chainsaw Man, it's easy—
Chainsaw Man is not a romance, dude. Chainsaw Man is like... Dude, this show had so much freaking hype. Like, I still see, like, the characters even, like, praised till today. Mappa has that effect with some shows. I don't know, this one came at the right time. It's weird. It's so weird, this show. Like, you know, Chainsaw Man is honestly top tier. I have moments where I'm rewatching the episodes. Like, some of the shit that happens, the girl with the pink hair, I think her name is Makima, the one which recruited, I think his name is Jinji, the guy with the orange hair, I forgot his name. But yeah, I remember her when she was, like, sacrificing the 12 guys, the prisoners. Oh no, when she, like, squeezed them. Oh, dude, that scene... I remember that scene's like crazy, dude. Like always, I'd be watching that scene.
People might prefer Dandadan. Chainsaw Man certainly deals with a lot of romantic struggles, but because Denji is the main character—
But oh yeah, Denji. I don't know. I call him Jinji. So Denji and this girl, what's her name? Power. Power and Denji don't really have extreme romantic elements. They're romantic, it's like an undertone. It's not like deep like, yeah, these two are trying to fall in love. It's kind of like, yeah, playful, like, oh yeah, we're close type of thing, you know?
We see it through his perspective of chasing romance because he's looking for meaning in his own life. That is
But no lie, low key, Chainsaw Man is like a Gooner anime, cause yeah, Denji is he's crazy, man. He's on some heavy Gooner anime type of vibe. Like he's so heavy on it. Like his goals for all of like his missions are for him literally to like basically touch women. Like, dude, it's just crazy, man.
individual struggle of looking for your own meaning and how that's influenced by society. That is a different kind of struggle from the one we see in Dandadan. In Dandadan, the characters influence each other for sure. In fact, that's kind of the whole point. But it's more than just influence. Okarun's growth is tied into Momo's, and Momo's growth is tied into Okarun's.
True.
Their arcs are intertwined in the sense that they are working towards the same goals, and each of their own goals is based on the other character. Because of this, they are inseparable. When Okarun is on his own, it always goes back to him thinking about Momo. And when we focus on Momo, she's always thinking about Okarun. Because of this, we get a very different kind of story. True, Chainsaw Man Part 2 does focus on Asa for a
This guy and his spoiling. Like, how do you spoil this part, bro? Like, I didn't want to know that. I'm still like we're watching the anime. Relax. I don't like you manga people and you're spoiling. Come on, bro.
bit, but it's pretty clear that Denji is still the leading character. As a result, Chainsaw Man consists of a story that's mainly about personal growth.
Yeah.
With Dandadan, you get a story that's about building off of your partner and growing together. Because of this, the whole story is about this dynamic. In the Evil Eye arc where Gigi is introduced, it starts with Gigi being presented as a threat to Okarun. So while it's full of creepy weirdos and giant monsters, the arc is really about Okarun dealing with his insecurity and learning to fight for his relationship with Momo. It's his character arc, but Momo is a huge part of it. This is why this trope works so well. Again, it's not inherently better than traditional stories. Chainsaw Man is a brilliant story that deals with themes of existentialism and societal influences. But there's a special place for stories where the goal...
No, but yo, I'm just thinking about this scene in Chainsaw Man where, like, I think the guys in suits, I forgot what they were called, where all of a sudden people just pull out guns and start shooting them. Oh, dude, this story has just crazy. Chainsaw Man is honestly a unique story. Like, honestly, when it starts, it's kind of a bit mid, but it goes from like a 6 to like a 9 easily because the story writing, it gets better. It's kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen also has a rough start, but yeah, the story gets better, you know?
Isn't just to grow on your own, but to share your struggle with someone else and grow together. This is why romance stories are so popular. Kaguya-sama is popular for its comedy, but also because people love to watch the whole will they won't.
Yeah, no, the characters carried this show. I thought Kaguya-sama in the beginning, I never watched was it season 4 or 3? I don't know, between the two. So I remember watching season 1 and season 2. I didn't really like season 1. I loved the opening. The opening was the thing which made me watch the show a lot. So then I remember I was kind of like skeptical of season 2. Is season 2 gonna be that good? And season 2 was over good because of the way how they wrote the characters. The characters had an emotional feeling behind them where we saw them grow, their problems, all of that. Yeah. Really good show, Kaguya-sama.
Thing and see the way these two characters push each other. Even a show like Komi-san, where
Komi-san is like popcorn entertainment where if you kind of want something to watch, then you watch Komi Can't Communicate. It's kind of a bit boring, you know. It's not the best show, but I can see where he's coming from.
He is clearly the main appeal. That is a show where Komi would not be the character she is later in the story without Tadano to push her. And Tadano wouldn't have the same kind of unspoken riz that Okarun does if he wasn't working so hard to help Komi and be a good person for her. It's the same reason I love Sign of Affection. In that show, Yuki is clearly our main character.
Okay, this one I never watched. I
because
never
it's a
watched Sound of
romance,
Affection.
we focus on her and Itsuomi. Itsuomi pushes Yuki out of her comfort zone, but she also introduces him to this brand new world of language and makes him feel special like he's never felt before. A dynamic that shares a lot in common with the one in Dandadan. But the beauty of Dandadan is that you get the best of both worlds. You get all the ball jokes and crazy alien
True.
monsters, but you also get the wholesome scenes and the mutual growth between Momo and Okarun. And that mutual growth influences the other characters in the story as well, and basically drives the entire plot, which is why this is really a special trope. It's not inherently better than other kinds of stories, but it is a nice break from the more typical shonen manga or stories like Chainsaw Man where we have to watch Denji suffer again and again.
Because it's kind of untraditional. I like this whole untraditional vibes of Dandadan. Dandadan is so unique. It is like a unique story that I feel like, it has so much hype behind it. I've seen a lot of people post Dandadan. I haven't searched it online, but a lot of people post this show. They really like it. And that's a good thing, This guy really got a hit. Shout out to him, the one which created the show.
Dandadan is a romance that's also full of action. It's a story where both characters share the lead and grow with each other. And most importantly, it's a story that reminds us that we don't always have to be the main character of our own story. Sometimes we can write a new story together. But now I'd like to hear what you think. How would you describe this trope? Which style of story do you prefer?
Yeah, that is so true, man. Dandadan is honestly a unique story. It's one of those stories where I didn't know anything about Dandadan. I only knew about it before the season started, and when it started, man, it hit so freaking hard. I always go with animes with open minds, because a lot of animes, like I watch a lot of slice of life and romance. So this is kind of my genre. I love slice of life and romance. That's where I'm kind of at right now. So yeah, when I watch these shows, man, it hits so freaking hard. Undead Unluck, oh my goodness, that is a show which you guys should watch. If you're kind of missing that Dandadan flair, that's the show you should watch. Can't Communicate, I wouldn't recommend it because it's a slow burner, man. It's not even a slow burner, it's kind of mid, it's a mid show. But yeah, guys, I'd also like to hear what you guys think of these animes. Would you like more of not a Jujutsu Kaisen, a Dandadan type of series? I like this, I like Dandadan. Turbo Granny is honestly the best. Momo is cool. Okarun is my guy. Sometimes he overdoes the nerdy anxiety guy, but yeah, he's funny. So yeah, guys, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think, and of course, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.